Hello, this is Lou Dolphin here for Sentinels of the Multiverse Weekly One-Shot number 59. Read the fine print. This is not a drill. An anomaly has been detected within the high security zone. All filter agents are required to respond with deadly force. Civilian personnel are directed to evacuate immediately. This is not a drill. Stand by for They're coming from the walls. What is it? Someone please help us. Anyone who can hear me. I didn't sign up for this. Please, I don't want to die. No! Get back! Please remain calm while the situation is resolved. Response level Omega has been authorized. This is not a drill. This one-shot requires Rook City, Infernal Relics, Shatter Timelines, and Vengeance. Thanks to Kenpo Jujitsu 3 for the inspiration. So this is Akash'Bhuta versus Mr. Fixer, K.N.Y.F.E, Prime Wardens Tempest, Freedom 6 Absolute Zero, and Raw in the block. Not a randomized start, not advanced, but it's Akash'Bhuta in the block. Akash'Bhuta is a villain that her difficulty varies based on which environment you're in. Namely, environments with multiple targets make for a harder Akash'Bhuta game if you've never played her before. If you have played her before, you already know that. So I'm not saying anything new. Well, let's get started. The natural order is one of chaos. Flee and fail, you temporary beings. My tools are weapons in my hands. This fight will end swiftly. Alright, so starting out. Oops. Mr. Fixer has a charge, grease gun, and 2 overdrives, so he doesn't have a tool or a style, but he can stop damage and can strike twice. K.N.Y.F.E has flawless execution, incidental contact, infiltrate and obfuscate, and overdo it. And I'm going to be taking a closer look at those cards when it's her turn, because I'm still not fully up to date with her. Prime Wardens Tempest has Aquatic Correspondence, Chain Lightning, Lightning Slash, and Vicious Cyclone. And Absolute Zero, well, Elemental Wrath, Absolute Zero, has Cold Snap, Frostbound Drain, Impale, an onboard module installation, and Raw has Imbued Fire, Inferno, Living Conflagration, and Solar Flare. Imbued Fire, when coupled with Absolute Zero, is interesting. It is nice because it provides a damage boost of 1 to all heroes. Technically, fire damage is increased by 1, but all damage dealt by heroes is changed to fire and thereby increased by 1. But Absolute Zero sometimes wants to hit himself for cold. And is there fire damage in... not that deck, in this deck. Is there fire damage in this deck? It's mostly energy damage, but it's mostly self-energy damage. The times that heroes get hit are for melee, psychic, or projectile. And the block has... lightning, fire, toxic, and melee, and projectile. So Char would be benefited by Imbued Fire, but none of the other things. Anyway, Akash'Bhuta. Villain, Chaos-Bound Creator. Setup. At the start of the game, Akash'Bhuta enters play Chaos-Bound Creator side up. And that's it. She's one of the few villains that has nothing else to her setup. Gameplay. Whenever an environment target enters play, the top card of the villain deck is played. Whenever a villain target enters play, the top card of the environment deck is discarded. When the environment trash is shuffled into the environment deck, Akash'Bhuta flips. She may only flip this way once per turn. So, environment target enters play the top card of the villain deck. Villain target enters play, discard the top card of the environment deck. So this is why environments with multiple targets make for a harder Akash'Bhuta game, because if the environment plays a target, then we play the top card of Akash'Bhuta's deck. So she gets an extra card play on the environment turn, especially if the environment plays a card that puts multiple environment targets into play, which the block has. Like reveal cards in the top of the environment deck until blah happens, which is Prison Riot. Reveal cards from the top of the environment deck until 4 inmates are revealed. Those 4 inmates are all targets, and then each target entering play triggers Akash'Bhuta playing a card. So she could play as many as 4 cards on the environment turn if Prison Riot gets played. Actually, she would play, because this reveals cards until 4 inmates are revealed. So if this is the first environment card play, we're getting 4 Akash'Bhuta cards. She flips when the environment trash is shuffled into the environment deck. So when she flips, she becomes Villain Avatar of Destruction. Gameplay. Whenever an environment target is destroyed, the top card of the villain deck is played. Whenever a villain target is destroyed, the top card of the environment deck is discarded. When the environment trash is shuffled into the environment deck, Akash'Bhuta flips. She may only flip this way once per turn. So, flip side, the mechanic is no longer targets entering play, but more targets leaving play. Though not always leaving play, there are means of targets leaving play outside of being destroyed. But mostly when a target is destroyed, it's leaving play. So it's sort of like entering play versus leaving play. And so on this side, if Prison Riot gets played, it will reveal 4 inmates. They get put into play, and then if you want Akash'Bhuta to play cards, you'll destroy those inmates. And then there are a number of ways for those targets to get destroyed by the environment themselves, like destroy the non-inmate target with the lowest HP, or destroy the inmate with the lowest HP, or whatever. Alrighty, let's start this. So she doesn't start with anything, so we get 1 card play, and that's Arboreal Phalanges, Primeval Limb. At the end of the villain turn, this card deals the non-villain target with the highest HP 4 melee damage. When this card is destroyed, Akash'Bhuta deals herself 12 energy damage. So Akash'Bhuta has the highest HP of all villains at 200, but most of that is because she tends to hit herself a lot. And because the villain target entered play, we discard the top card of the environment deck, which was Char. And one of these guys are going to be hit. So, does Ra have the Staff of Ra? He does not. Does K.N.Y.F.? K.N.Y.F. doesn't have HP recovery means, but does she have a card that sometimes does things like reduce damage? She does not. So this choice doesn't really matter. I'll just throw it on Ra, because at least Ra can regain HP. And here we have it. Alright, so Mr. Fixer lacks a tool, he lacks a style, and currently he can't really do that much. He could do 2 points of damage with charge. He could stop anyone, or the environment or the villains, from dealing damage, except he wouldn't be able to deal, he won't be able to use his power to deal damage, he won't be able to draw cards, which won't help us with the tool or style problem. And then we have 2 overdrives, which are more exciting when he has a tool, style, or more in play. So honestly, I might just skip and hope to get something exciting, because charge and strike would do 3 melee damage total, but there aren't a lot of things happening right now, so I'm just gonna wait and see what happens. So Mr. Fixer gets a 2nd charge and a 3rd charge. I think he's all charged up now. Alright, so now I'm gonna have to take a closer look at these cards just so I don't play something stupid, but K.N.Y.F. has Flawless Execution, which can help with destroying targets, provided that K.N.Y.F. does just the right amount of damage. Incidental Contact, which is a nice means of doing AoE, because it hits each target, and then provides the option of dealing additional damage to any target dealt damage. So this does hit heroes, but this will also hit villains and environments. And since it's only 1 energy damage, it's not that much until she gets her energy booster, which she doesn't have yet. Infiltrate and Obfuscate is a means of redirecting damage from K.N.Y.F., provided that damage is being dealt from an environment target, and that gets redirected to the villain target with the 2nd highest HP, provided one exists. And then Overdo It, which is a nice way of playing additional cards, but she tends to not have enough cards to play, so I feel like Infiltrate and Obfuscate of these options is the one that's better to start with. It's more preventative, and since I did play a card, I might as well use my power, and I'll go ahead and I'll hit the phalanges and try to whittle it down a bit. And she draws Battlefield Experience. So we're at Prime Warden's Tempest. So Prime Warden's Tempest power lets him play up to 3 cards. Each time you play a card this way, the environment deals Tempest 3 lightning damage. So it's a bit risky to use that unless you can reduce damage dealt to Tempest, which he currently doesn't have the means of doing. But it is a nice way of getting a a lot of cards out. And get Tempest really set up early. Unfortunately, we don't really have much in the way of setup. Vicious Cyclone is always nice when Tempest has damage boosters, which, if he has Genebound Shackles, Akash'Bhuta is almost always the highest HP villain target. But we don't have that. So I could skip and draw 2, but I have Aquatic Correspondence, which lets Tempest draw 3 cards, which is 1 more than 2, and he could still use his draw phase to draw a card. And since none of these cards provide powers, I'm probably going to start with Aquatic Correspondence and see what happens. Tempest draws a Grievous Hailstorm, a Lightning Slash, and another Grievous Hailstorm. So he could use his power and play any number of these cards at the expense of 3 lightning damage. So let's see. Is it worth it? I'm not 100% sure. I could play Grievous Hailstorm, but I could just do that next turn, and if I play it now, I can't use it now, and it runs the risk of getting destroyed by Akash'Bhuta. I could play Lightning Slash and get the Phalanges down to 5. That would be worthwhile if I can outright destroy it, because if I don't destroy it, there is a risk of Akash'Bhuta regaining its HP. Or recovering HP. I mean, Absolute Zero can do 2 cold damage with his base power, and Raw... I mean, if he plays Living Conflagration, which he could do, and it's probably a good idea, he could do 2 damage with that and 1 damage with his power. So that's 5 damage between Absolute Zero and Raw, so then Lightning Slash would do 5 damage to the Phalanges and would therefore get it killed. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Because 3 damage now versus 4 damage at the end of the villain turn, I think that's a good idea. Don't need to play anything else, though. I could just play Grievous Hailstorm on the turn that I plan on using it. So I'm going to skip. And I draw Localized Hurricane. This provides even more damage dealt to Tempest, so it's not really good when coupled with Arc of Power, but it provides one of the nicer powers in the game, dealing up to 2 targets, 3 projectile damage each, and you may draw 2 cards. So, let's see. Cold Snap or Impale are the 2 decisions. Cold Snap, at the start of your turn, Absolute Zero deals each non-hero target 1 cold damage. That would hit more Primeval Limbs. Impale, at the start of your turn, Absolute Zero deals that target 2 cold damage. This would hit 1 target, but that target could just be Akash'Bhuta. On the other hand, if Akash'Bhuta ends up playing Mountainous Carapace, damage dealt to Akash'Bhuta would be reduced by 1. And I am looking at this onboard module installation, and I probably should play it because I draw a card and then I can choose a module into my hand and then I could play a card. But with Freedom 6 Absolute Zero, I don't need the modules in play right away. But I guess it doesn't hurt to play it, so we'll go ahead and play it. We draw the Isothermic Transducer, which is 1 module. So I'm going to take the other module just so I have both. But he doesn't need them as much. I mean, if he intends on playing Frostbound Drain at some point, he would like to have the Isothermic Transducer so that the self-damage at least has an action, but Cold Snap and Impale would have more immediate uses. And the only source of cold or fire damage from other non-Absolute Zero targets is Char, who deals fire damage, and he won't be acting until the round after he's played, because he deals damage at the start of the environment turn, so it's not an immediate priority to get that out there. So I'm going to put the Cold Snap out. And then we can deal AoE damage consistently, provided that stays in play. So then 2 cold there, and we draw another onboard module installation. Since it's a cyclic card, you can play this card even if you already have the module you want, or all the modules, because you get to draw a card, which always gives you an additional option. You get a module even if it's redundant, and then you can play a card as if you hadn't played this card to begin with. Alrighty. So I think Living Conflagration was the choice. I want to hold off on Imbued Fire for a bit, until I'm more certain that I don't need Absolute Zero's cold damage as much. I mean, he is at max HP right now, and Imbued Fire can be destroyed simply by using the power that says destroy this card. And that would increase the AoE damage by 1. So Absolute Zero would deal each non-hero target 2 fire damage at the start of his turn, which is nice. I don't know. I was not going to play it, but now I'm having a change of heart. It would help with, like, I mean, Grievous Hailstorm would turn into 3 fire damage to all non-hero targets. Localized Hurricane would turn into 2 targets, 4 projectile or 4 fire damage, and then Knife's Incidental Contact would turn into 2 fire damage, deal any target dealt damage this way, 2 fire damage, and Raw always benefits from damage increases. So I guess we'll do that, because if I do Imbued Fire and then I use base power on Arboreal Phalanges, it will also be taken out, so we'll do that. That's another way of taking it out outside of Living Conflagration. Alright, board's cleared. Akash'Bhuta hits herself. Ra draws Summon Staff, so we can get the Staff of Ra. And just like onboard module installation, Summon Staff is a card to play even if you already have a Staff of Ra in hand or in play, because you get to draw a card in addition to playing that. Only reason you wouldn't want to do that is if you expect Ra to like discard his hand, or if there are effects based on the hero with the most cards in play, or if there are reactions to heroes drawing cards, or if heroes can't draw cards. I mean, there are a number of reasons you don't want to play that, but if there's no consequence, you might as well play it. The block plays Time-Crazed Prisoner, Inmate. At the start of the environment turn, this card deals the non-inmate target with the second highest HP X melee damage, where X equals the number of cards in the environment trash. Currently there is 1 card in the environment trash, but that is likely to grow based on what Akash'Bhuta does. This is also a target, so Akash'Bhuta is going to play a card. She plays Entomb. Ongoing. At the start of the villain turn, Akash'Bhuta deals all non-villain targets 5 psychic damage. If all active heroes take damage this way, destroy this card. So, it's terrible when this card gets played on the environment turn because there's nothing you can do about it. But there was nothing we could have done about it anyway. This is how it was always going to be because of the way the decks were stacked. Thanks, Handelabra, for rigging this game against us. I'm kidding. I don't think order matters. Time-Crazed Prisoner will be destroyed by this, so we don't have to worry about him at all. But none of the other heroes have retaliatory things, so I don't think it matters at all. And all active heroes took damage. That card was destroyed. And she plays Mountainous Carapace, Primeval Limb. Reduced damage dealt to Akash'Bhuta by 1. When this card is destroyed, Akash'Bhuta deals herself 11 energy damage. The self-damage is always based on the HP of the Primeval Limb. So, in general, it's always wise to take out the Primeval Limbs. Like, in a normal game of Sentinels, you know, there's always like a dilemma. Should I just go after the main villain because if the main villain dies, the game's over? Or should I take out the minions because the minions will kill me before I can kill the main villain? But if I damage the minions, I'm not damaging the main villain, so I'm not really proceeding towards victory, am I? But with Akash'Bhuta, unless you're severely overkilling a Primeval Limb, and therefore probably should put that damage on Akash'Bhuta directly, it's usually good to go after the limbs, because destroying a limb means Akash'Bhuta deals herself damage equal to the limb's HP. So yeah. Especially because now Akash'Bhuta has damage reduction, so if I'm doing exactly 11 points of damage to the Mountainous Carapace, that's going to equate to fewer than 11 points of damage to Akash'Bhuta unless that damage just happened to be irreducible. And if the damage were irreducible, I mean, you could still hit Akash'Bhuta with that. Anyway, I'm rambling. So I'm in the same situation as before with Mr. Fixer. I don't have a tool or a style, and I could, again, skip, and draw 2. But since we have Imbued Fire out, Mr. Fixer's damage is getting increased by 1, so Charge will do 3 points of damage, and Strike will do 2 points of damage. So I can do 5 points total to the Mountainous Carapace if I wanted to. Tempest is probably going to localize the Hurricanes, because with 2 targets that does more damage than Grievous Hailstorm, and gets some lots of cards which can feed the Vicious Cyclone. And then Cold Snap is going to do 2 points of damage. So we said Tempest was doing 4, so 4 and 2 is 6. 6 and 5 is 11. So it'd certainly be dead by Cold Snap's turn. The issue, there are a few issues, like K.N.Y.F.E could also deal 3 damage herself. Let's see. I mean, I'm just deciding whether I want to skip or to let Fixer deal damage just to make sure that we can kill the Mountainous Carapace before Cold Snap acts. Or not before Cold Snap acts, as Cold Snap acts. Because we can choose the order of this, and if Mountainous Carapace dies before we hit Akash'Bhuta with it, then it will do 1 more point of damage, which is better. But if I'm playing Localized Hurricane, Tempest can't take any other action, and the only way that K.N.Y.F.E could do more to it is by playing either Battlefield Experience and doing 6 points of damage to it and then destroying this card, which isn't bad because Battlefield Experience's power makes it like a one-shot, except when its card is destroyed, you may draw 1 card and play 1 card, so it's actually sort of an not off turn, well, I guess sort of off turn, but more like a unconventional cyclic card because it's an ongoing card. But like a cyclic card, you can draw a card, take an action, and play a card, and it's as if you had not done anything except sacrificed your power usage. But its power is pretty good, especially with a damage boost. So let's see. So yeah, so Battlefield Experience will do 3 and 3, which is 6, and then Localized Hurricane will do 4, which will put it down to 1, so Fixer doesn't have to hit it at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip. Fixer draws a Tire Iron. That's a tool. It's actually a sort of boring tool, but it at least can help remove a primeval limb who's already low on HP. And a style, and this is the damage increase style, so he can deal more damage. Alright, so we had to use Battlefield Experience. So Battlefield Experience, K.N.Y.F.E deals 1 target 2 melee damage and 2 energy damage, then destroy this card. So we'll deal that to the Mountainous Carapace, which turns into 3 fire and then 3 fire. And now she can draw a card. She drew Flawless Execution number 2, and she can play a card. And since I don't really want Incidental Contact, that will hit the heroes for more, but if I'm going to play that, especially since we're all doing fire damage, I should probably make sure that Isothermic Transducer is in play before that. So when Absolute Zero is dealt fire damage, she can then hit a target for that much cold damage, which turns into even more fire damage. But I think Flawless Execution, just because I don't want to overdo it and I'm not doing Incidental Contact. And she draws Energy Burn, which allows for more damage. Really good against Akash'Bhuta. Alright, so let's localize the Hurricanes. If I was able to kill the Mountainous Carapace, I would have hit Akash'Bhuta second, but it doesn't matter. Tempest draws an Elemental Subwave Inducer, a Ball Lightning, and a Shielding Winds. Shielding Winds will be pretty nice. That will reduce Entomb's damage. Now here the order does matter, because if I hit Akash'Bhuta first, that damage gets reduced, but if I hit Mountainous Carapace first, she hits herself first, and then there's no more damage reduction, and now Akash'Bhuta's naked. Alright, so as I said, Onboard Module Installation is a card to play even if you already have all the modules, or, I mean, I have both modules, but there are more in my deck still. But it lets me draw a card, and that card might make me change my mind on what I want to play. So the card I draw is a Modular Realignment. Unfortunately, there's nothing in my trash that's an equipment, but it is a means of doing things. And I'll take another Isothermic Transducer for 200, Alex. And I could Isothermic. Do I intend on doing Incidental Contact next turn? I don't have to. Energy Burn would do a lot of damage to Akash'Bhuta already. Incidental Contact, again, would hit all of us for a lot. I mean, I would really like to have it if either, and this is not an exclusive either, it's, you know, if any of these are true. If Mr. Fixer had his style, not Grease Monkey Fist, but Driving Mantis, which lets him redirect damage if it's 2 or less, he would be fine with taking that damage. I don't know if K.N.Y.F.E has a good one. If Tempest has the elemental subwave inducer out, he could reduce it by 1. It's going to hurt Tempest even more because of localized hurricane, but that's okay. But with elemental subwave inducer, we could reduce it by 1, provided that we select fire damage. And if he also had otherworldly resilience, that would reduce all damage dealt to him by 1. And if Ra, and this one is actually one that by itself is perfect, if Ra had Flesh of the Sun God and used its power, then hero character cards would be immune to fire damage, and so incidental contact would not hit the heroes, provided that imbued fire is out. So I don't know, like, incidental contact I do want to hold on to and save for rainy day, but I also want to get Impale out on Akash'Bhuta so I can cold snap and impale her and do 5 free damage to her each turn. And then my power will already do 3 to her. And Absolute Zero draws another onboard module installation. Alright, so as I said, summon Staff. We get the Staff of Ra in hand, and then we draw a Scorched Earth. Ra deals each non-hero target X fire damage, where X equals the number of environment cards in play. This could be very deadly. Now, Ra has taken damage, so Staff of Ra would let him regain 3 HP. It would also increase damage dealt by Ra by 1, which is nice before he plays other things. Like, even with no environment targets in play, Ra would still be able to hit each villain target for 2 fire damage with Staff of Ra and Imbued Fire. If I put out Living Conflagration, I could do 3 fire damage, and then I have the power of drawing another card, but no, I think I want to get the Staff out first. I'm going to go ahead and use the base power, because I don't want to destroy Imbued Fire, and if I throw the Staff, I do 4 damage, but 4 is just 1 more than 3. Sorry, I miscounted. 5 is 1 more than 4. I forgot about the Imbued Fire plus 1. And draw another Scorched Earth. Alright, so the block now plays Filter Officer, Agent. At the end of the environment turn, this card deals the non-agent target with the second lowest HP 4 projectile damage. This is a target, so Akash'Bhuta plays a card. That card is Ensnaring Brambles, Primeval Limb. At the end of the villain turn, select a hero target with the lowest HP. That target cannot deal damage until the start of the next villain turn. When this card is destroyed, Akash'Bhuta deals herself 9 energy damage. Thankfully, because Akash'Bhuta played this card, Filter Officer is now targeting the Brambles. Nope, just kidding. Oh. You know why I'm dumb? Because that was second lowest HP, which just happened to be Tempest. But now Tempest can't deal damage because Ensnaring Brambles. Akash'Bhuta played Allies of the Earth, ongoing. Whenever an environment target enters play, Akash'Bhuta regains HP equal to the HP of that target. That is a card we really don't want to have in play. So yeah, Filter Officer, second lowest. Sorry. Misread. Okay, well, now Tempest can't deal damage, so you can't really use Grievous Hailstorm. But we could still, like, put out the Elemental Subwave Inducer, or, since I said Allies of the Earth is a terrible card, and we don't really have other means of doing it just yet, we do have a Ball Lightning. We could play this, it won't deal the damage, but it can destroy Allies of the Earth. But now Fixer does have a style, and he does have a tool. He doesn't have the damage redirection style, but he does have a damage increase one. So I probably want to get that one out. And then he can do 3 damage with his power. So bearing in mind that Tempest can't deal damage, how do we want to deal with this? I don't know if I want to use Scorched Earth just yet. This would do each non-hero target 3 fire damage. I probably don't want to keep the Filter Officer out because he's going to hit either Tempest if the Brambles is in play, or another one, or Absolute Zero. I don't know that it's time for Incidental Contact. I don't think it is. I think Energy Burn on Akash'Bhuta would be good. But this would do 3 damage to the Brambles. And then I guess Absolute Zero could just do 3 damage to it. I don't know, Cold Snap's going to do 2. That's going to be a little bit of a waste. Um... I mean, I could use Inferno, and that would eliminate it for sure. Let's see, if I use Inferno on it, that's 5 fire damage. And Absolute Zero is going to do it 2 damage. So put it down to 7. Or do 7 damage, it'll be down to 2. There aren't enough single points of damage, though. Well, I guess if K.N.Y.F.E happened to put it down to 1 exactly, it would get destroyed. I'm not sure, though, that... Unless she did incidental contact, but... Like, if Fixer does 3 to it, and then she does 3 to it, they'll put it down to 3. Tempest can't deal damage. I guess Living Conflagration would do 4 and 3, which would do 7. I guess I could just do the 2 hit on Akash'Bhuta and then the 1 hit on the Brambles. So that would do... that Brambles will be down to 6. Cold Snap puts it down to 4. I don't know. I'm trying to make sure I do exactly 9 points of damage to it, just so I'm not really losing damage. But it's hard. Let's see. So, like, 0 does 3, K.N.Y.F.E does 3, Fixer does 3. So, I guess the question is, how can Ra do 6 or 3 to it? I think the O does, just the power usage on Living Conflagration. I don't know why it's... Oh, no, because you know what I'm forgetting is Cold Snap, duh. Cold Snap's definitely doing it too. Alright? It's getting 2 for free from Cold Snap. So, can Ra do it 7, or 4, or 1? It can't do 1. Well, 4 would be from Conflagration, or when this card enters play. So that's 4. Which will put it down to 3, so it just needs to be hit for 3 by someone else. Alright. Thank you for joining us in the math-based section. Okay. This is an important choice, because if I do not select fire, then I do not get Imbued Fire's damage boost. And Fixer draws Riveting Crane. It's a different style. Makes all damage dealt to that target irreducible until the start of Fixer's next turn, which would, you know, get past the issue with the Mountainous Carapace. Alright, so Energy Burn on Akash'Bhuta seemed wise. And then Base Power, since we know Ra will be able to take care of the Brambles himself on Akash'Bhuta directly. And K.N.Y.F.E draws Overcharged Null Shield, which is a damage reduction to K.N.Y.F.E by the villain with the highest HP, which is Akash'Bhuta, which only really helps with Entomb, which we already saw once. It could come up again. She has 2 more of them in her deck. Alright, so we have to Ball Lightning the Allies of the Earth. And I'm going to keep the other cards. And even though Tempest can't deal damage, he could play up to 3 cards and be dealt 4 lightning damage each time. Or draw 2 cards. I think drawing cards is a little better, considering where Tempest's HP is. He draws Reclaim from the Deep and an Into the Stratosphere, and an Electrical Storm. So Into the Stratosphere will help with deck manipulation. Order doesn't matter. Oh, I guess I was thinking about taking out the Filter Officer too at some point. Oops. I forgot about him. That puts a little wrinkle in my plan. Well, onboard module, we draw a Sub-Zero Atmosphere, and I'll put something in my hand. I'll just put the null point, because I now have equal numbers of isothermic and null points. Sub-Zero Atmosphere. Any villain card which would act at the end of the villain turn instead acts at the start of the villain turn. You have to be really careful if you're going to play this, because if Akash'Bhuta plays her ongoing destruction card, Earth Sacrifice. Destroy 5 hero ongoing cards, discard as many, blah, blah, blah. How many ongoings do we have in play? We have Grease Monkey Fist, Infiltrate and Obfuscate, Flawless Execution, Localized Hurricane, Imbued Fire, Cold Snap, and Impale. We have 7. If I play Sub-Zero Atmosphere, we'll be at 8, and we'd have to choose which of those 5 to destroy. If we destroy Sub-Zero Atmosphere, then any start of turn actions that had been moved from the end of turn move back to the end of turn and then happen again. But it is a nice way of, you know, if Akash'Bhuta plays 20 Primeval Limbs on her turn, that none of them actually act. But, you know, we want to make sure that it doesn't get destroyed first. I think I want to get the Isothermic Transducer out just in case I do feel like doing an incidental contact, because this will let Absolute Zero retaliate the fire damage. Alright, so since I didn't worry about the Filter Officer before, and I might want to worry about him because that is going to do 4 projectile damage. What is the way of dealing with that? Like, I didn't really want to waste the damage from Ra, but this would do 5 fire. Oh no, I guess Ra still has his base power, which will do 4. So if I do 3 here, and I do the base power on a Filter Officer, I just don't want Tempest to be dealt damage, is the concern. Especially if a target enters play which plays a Primeval Limb, and then Tempest is the second lowest again. I think that's the best way of doing that. Absolute Zero draws Thermal Shockwave. This card actually isn't useful with Imbued Fire out. Or, not, sorry, it is useful. It's not 100% useful. So its utility, obviously, is based on the number of cold damage that Absolute Zero deals. But if Absolute Zero is only dealing fire damage because of Imbued Fire, then he did 0 cold damage this turn, so he deals himself 0 fire damage. Except it does get increased by 1 by Imbued Fire, so he deals himself 1 fire damage, which then outputs as, well, initially 1 fire, which turns into 2 by Imbued Fire, so he could do an additional 2 fire damage with that, but it's not as exciting as Absolute Zero deals himself 15 fire damage because he did 15 cold damage, and then he reacts and hits himself for 15 cold damage, and his HP bounces up and down. Not as exciting, but still there. So, alright, what was, if I do the 2 on the Brambles, but then I use base power on the Officer, then both die. So Living Conflagration enters play, we do 4, we'll hit the Brambles just to make sure that goes out. Akash'Bhuta hits herself, and then I do base power on the Filter Officer. And Ra draws Excavation. Alright. Block Guard. Agent. At the end of the environment turn, this card deals the non-agent target with the lowest HP 3 lightning damage. A target dealt damage this way cannot deal damage until the start of the environment turn. So Akash'Bhuta plays a card, that card, ensnaring Brambles. So this time, Block Guard does go after the Brambles. I read the fine print, it said lowest HP. So the Brambles can't deal damage. And Akash'Bhuta played another Brambles, so Tempest really can't deal damage. So that was fun. Alright, I don't really have a need to play Tire Iron. I mean, the thing about Mr. Fixer, though, is that if he draws Harmony, Harmony increases damage dealt by Mr. Fixer by 1, provided that both a tool and a style are in play. So in order to have that, I need to play Tire Iron. But I don't have Harmony yet, and there's no guarantee that I will get Harmony. And Tire Iron, I have to reduce the target to 2 or fewer. And he's currently dealing 3 fire damage with his base power, which will put the Brambles down to 3, and nothing else happens. So I probably don't want to do that. I want to do something else. Well, if I do Overdrive, I can kill that 6 Brambles, but remember that Cold Snap is doing 2 fire. So I only have to do 4 damage to it, which I can accomplish by charge. So, is there a way to get the second Brambles down to 2 by Absolute Zero's turn? It's probably the same story as last turn. We already have Flawless Execution in play. Incidental Contact. Still want to save for when Akash'Bhuta has like 20 Primeval Limbs. Overcharged Null Shield doesn't do damage, but it is preventative. Overdo It doesn't hit the Brambles. And Tempest can't hit anything right now. But we can at least, you know, put a Shielding Winds out there. Or I could Stratosphere the Brambles, actually. And that way we know what Akash'Bhuta will play on the environment turn, provided that the environment plays a target. Well, at least slow her deck down. I mean, it's stopping Tempest from dealing damage, which is sad. Especially since he doesn't have the HP recovery power, which would be nice to have right now. But yeah, Cold Snap is gonna... yeah. So it's the same story as last turn. How do I take out that Brambles on Ra's turn? I don't really need to worry about the block guard. It's very likely the environment will play a target, and it's likely that Akash'Bhuta will play a Primeval Limb. No, I guess that's not actually likely. I guess I could Stratosphere the Brambles. This provides deck manipulation, but then Tempest doesn't deal damage. But the damage isn't that big anyway. So we can Stratosphere that Brambles. And then the block guard would hit that Brambles when it enters play, and then Tempest still can't deal damage, but at least Akash'Bhuta, at least the block guard hits a Primeval Limb. And I could also just leave the Brambles in play, but I would like to take it out myself. Alright, that's our plan. I could also kill the block guard, but yeah. Meditation. If I want to swap out that Grease Monkey Fist. Alright, Overcharged Null Shield will reduce damage dealt to K.N.Y.F.E by Akash'Bhuta. And then I can Akash'Bhuta. And K.N.Y.F draws Battlefield Experience. So yeah, let's Stratosphere that Brambles. And then let's draw cards. Genebound Shackles, there we go. Chain Lightning. Electrical Storm. Alright. So that Null Point Calibration unit is the other module that Absolute Zero has, but Absolute Zero currently can't hit himself for cold damage due to imbued fire, and nothing else in this game deals cold damage, so Null Point's not really going to be useful. I could put the Sub-Zero Atmosphere out, because we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ongoings, 9 once Sub-Zero Atmosphere's out. Be a little risky, but if she does explode on her turn, then we don't get hit for as much. The issue though is that, you know, she still has both of her Earth sacrifices. The only way that she could have filtered them out is if she played Primeval Eruption, because that reveals the top 5 cards and discards other revealed cards than Primeval Limbs. She hasn't played that yet. It's been tame so far. I'm anticipating a blow up. A massive blow up. Okay, oh yeah, and the environment has discarded a lot of cards. We still have 1 Prison Riot, which would be sad. 2 Lockdowns, which wouldn't play the Brambles until Akash'Bhuta's turn. And then we have... Alright, the Prison Riot would play 3 Inmates. So she'll play 3 cards. Which would be scary for sure. I mean, I could just put Thermal Shockwave out there as ongoing fodder. Like Frostbound Drain. I could use Frostbound Drain, hit Akash'Bhuta for 4. Absolute Zero hits himself for 4, hits Akash'Bhuta for 5. That wouldn't be a terrible thing, would it? And we're almost halfway done with the game. But I think... yeah, I'm gonna be risky. We'll be risky. MC0 draws modular realignment. Alright. Well, if I want more ongoing cards, I could put Solar Flare in play. But then at the end of Ra's turn, he would deal himself 6 fire damage, otherwise this card is destroyed. On the other hand, you know, it'd be risky, but he does have a lot of hit points. And it's unlikely that Sub-Zero Atmosphere would get destroyed. It's unlikely that Akash'Bhuta would play things outside of her turn unless the Prison Riot comes into play. And this would, you know, Scorched Earth would then be super potent. You know, I said let's be risky the previous turn. Let's be risky this turn. And I haven't used Living Conflagration's power yet. Oh, you know what? Oh, dude. Alright, we draw Fire Blast, and we drew Imbued Fire. Okay, this is not 6 fire damage. Increased fire damage dealt by Ra by 2. 4 psychic damage turns into 4 fire damage, which turns into 5 fire damage by Imbued Fire, which turns into 6 fire damage by Staff of Ra, which turns into 8 fire damage by Solar Flare. Does Ra want to deal himself 8 fire damage just so he could do even more with Scorched Earth? Too late, must commit. I'm going to regret this decision. Oh good, Prison Riot. Okay, I am going to regret this decision pretty fast. So we're getting all the inmates. Target entered play, or Imprisoned Rogue. Did I read that one? I don't know, but the Ensnaring Brambles came into play. Imprisoned Rogue, inmate, increased damage dealt by inmates by 1. At the start of the environment turn, destroy the agent with the highest HP. Alright, so the environment deck shuffled because this is sort of hacks here, but alright. Prison Riot revealed the top 7 cards of the environment deck. The top 7 cards are currently in revealed limbo. Alright, so they're in revealed limbo, meaning that they're not in play, they're not in the deck, they're not in the trash. But since Akash'Bhuta played a villain target, that discarded the top card of the villain deck, which was empty. So we shuffled the environment trash into the villain deck to be able to discard a card. Well, there were 7 cards in the environment trash because the other 7 cards, not 7 cards, were there 7 cards? There should have been 6 cards. Yeah, there were 6 other cards. 6 cards were in limbo. Since those 6 cards were still in limbo, they were not shuffled into the environment deck. So it's possible for Akash'Bhuta to flip again really fast here. We have the Imprisoned Rogue number 2. So since we're now on Akash'Bhuta's flip side, she's not playing additional cards, which is good. And then we have the Time Crazed Prisoner. And I think the block guard is now going to go after the Time Crazed Prisoner, right? Yeah. So Time Crazed Prisoner cannot deal damage. Prison Riot destroyed itself. So Prime Wardens cannot deal damage. And then something. Oh good, Primeval Eruption. There was a lot of text that went on screen, but it's... Oh, you know what it said? Removing effect, Prime Warden's Tempest cannot deal damage. Then it said Ensnaring Brambles stopped Tempest from dealing damage. So Ensnaring Brambles does say until the next villain turn. So Tempest still can't deal damage, even though Sub-Zero Atmosphere is in play. What else? What else? Alright, so Time Crazed Prisoner cannot deal damage until the start of the next environment turn, but it will still deal damage because it'll be the start of the environment turn. And that deals the second highest, and that's going to be increased by 2 by the Imprisoned Rogue, so it's going to do 7 damage, although it's possible that it will do even more or less. I mean, now whenever we destroy a villain target, we just discard the top card of the environment deck, so it's... Alright, if you don't know what happened in the past 2 minutes, just rewind at this point. I can't really explain it any further. Primeval Eruption, one shot. Reveal the top 5 cards of the villain deck. Put all primeval limbs revealed into play. Discard the other revealed cards. Play the top card of the villain deck. Normally this would be an awful card to see, but since Sub-Zero Atmosphere is in play, we know that those limbs won't act immediately. And the cards revealed... Again, that text flies by too fast. I would change the message display notification, except it screws with damage dealing notifications. So that's why I would prefer if that were like, if I could slow down and see what those 5 cards were. But anyway, Mountainous Carapace was one of them. Living Rock Slide was one of them. The other 3 were not Primeval Limbs, so they were discarded. And then Primeval Eruption also placed another card, and that card happened to be Living Rock Slide. So it's actually not awful, because the Living Rock Slides ordinarily would deal each non-villain target 3 projectile damage. In fact, the combination of these 2 would destroy every single environment card, which would trigger Akash'Bhuta playing 4 more cards, but they didn't act because of Sub-Zero Atmosphere. So we did well. Now we do have to be careful because if I do use Scorched Earth, this is going to be especially potent because there are 4 environment cards in play. So Ra's going to deal 4 fire damage, except it's going to be 8 fire damage because of Staff of Ra, Imbued Fire, and Solar Flare. So 8 fire damage to everything. Like, holy shit. But yes. In fact, let's see. Alright, so let's do a little bit of, like, thinking and math right here. 9, and 11, and 10, and 10. Forgetting the fact that damage dealt to Akash'Bhuta is reduced by 1. That's a total of 40 damage to Akash'Bhuta. So, assuming that she takes all 40 of that, she'll be down to 74. So any other damage that we can do to Akash'Bhuta, bearing in mind that Tempest cannot deal damage still, would be nice. However, I don't know that we'll be able to do that. Yeah, 74 damage is a lot. Especially since we don't have the nuke cards. What I'm thinking about is putting Riveting Crane out instead of Grease Monkey Fist. Because this would lower Mr. Fixer's damage by 1, but it would make damage to Akash'Bhuta irreducible, undoing the Mountainous Carapace's effect. And then I wouldn't really worry too much about other factors. Like, for instance, the Mountainous Carapace would normally be the one you would want to destroy first, because then Akash'Bhuta deals herself full damage. But if damage dealt to her is irreducible, then the order doesn't matter. Then Fixer does 1 fewer point of damage, but then K.N.Y.F.E could do more to it. Yeah, because I think this is a good time for incidental contact. So bear in mind, once the time-crazed prisoner is destroyed, Akash'Bhuta will play a card. It's also going to reduce Scorched Earth's damage potential. The other 3 cards discarded by Akash'Bhuta, by the way. The Primeval Eruption was put on top of the deck, but we lost 1 Ongoing Destruction card, we lost 1 Equipment Destruction card, and we lost a Disrupt the Field, which would destroy all environment cards, especially lethal on this side, because then she'll play extra cards for each environment destruction. Then play the top card of the villain deck, play the top card of the environment deck, in addition to the extra card plays from the environment destruction. She has only 1 copy of each of those still in her deck. She has 2 Entombs, she has 4 more Primeval Limbs, and 2 more Primeval Eruptions. And if we can destroy the Primeval Limbs, she will, or the block will discard 4 cards. We'll have 2 cards left in its deck. So based on what Akash'Bhuta does based on the card destructions, she could end up flipping. I don't know. Alright, if I do Riveting Crane on Akash'Bhuta, we lose 1 point of damage from Fixer. But then Incidental Contact would do more to Akash'Bhuta, and then Absolute Zero could do more to Akash'Bhuta, and then probably by the time Ra does things, Mountainous Carapace will be destroyed anyway. On the other hand, if I destroy Grease Monkey Fist, I can get it back with meditation pretty fast. If I'm worried about damage, am I worried about damage? Like if we get Entombs in play really early, it's gonna be pretty bad. Like if she plays both of her Entombs as the result of destroying all environment targets, we're not gonna be able to mitigate that damage. We don't have ongoing destruction anymore. Grease Gun might actually be a little better. It'll be safer. Alright. As risky as I was the previous turn, I guess I should play up a little bit of safety. I need to balance the risk with the safety. So, Grease Gun, not Grease Monkey Fist. Grease Gun. Non-hero targets cannot deal damage. So, oh shit. Then Akash'Bhuta won't hit herself once the limbs are destroyed. Ah! Well, this actually means I don't need to destroy the primeval limbs now. We could just wait one more round. Yeah, because one problem now is that non-hero targets cannot deal damage. When I destroy a primeval limb, when this card is destroyed, Akash'Bhuta deals herself damage. Oh, she can't deal damage because of Grease Gun. Alright, so if I'm not gonna do that, I'm just not gonna worry about I'm not gonna do the massive damage this turn. I'm not gonna incidental contact just yet then. And let's see. I mean, Cold Snap's still gonna destroy the Time Crazed Prisoner, but oh well. They can't deal damage right now, so like Time Crazed Prisoner will be destroyed. Akash'Bhuta plays a card. You know, either we destroy ongoing cards, or we destroy equipment cards. And if we destroy equipment cards, I could then destroy Grease Monkey Fist at that point. In fact, I think I would have to. I don't think we have enough equipments. We don't. Okay. I'm thinking about Battlefield Experience. I'm in a Battlefield Experience. Do I want to use it now? When this card is destroyed, draw a card, play a card? Or just do base power? I'm not going to target the limbs because if she plays... Not that one. If she plays Rejuvenating Entropy, then they will be restored to their max HP. So I don't want to waste the damage there. We do have the damage reduction on Akash'Bhuta currently, so this would be reduced by 1, but it just undoes Imbued Fire. I could also just leave it in play, because if I leave it in play, I could choose it to be destroyed, and then K.N.Y.F.E could just play a different card. Like, if she plays Overdo It, like if Akash'Bhuta destroys ongoing cards by Earth Sacrifice, and I destroy Battlefield Experience, that will let K.N.Y.F play a card, which could be Overdo It, which could just let it destroy itself, but hey. That's an option. I'll just do base power, and we'll keep the Battlefield Experience in play. And K.N.Y.F draws Primed Punch. Alright. Well, currently, non-hero targets cannot deal damage, so I don't need to Shielding Winds. Although Tempest still won't be able to deal damage the next turn because of Ensnaring Brambles, unless Ra is dealt damage. I guess if I'm not gonna... yeah, Solar Flare is not gonna stay in play, I don't think. I'll just put the Shielding Winds out there and draw more cards. I guess I could put Vicious Cyclone and then Genebound Shackles out, but I should be prepared for card destruction. Alright, let's hit Akash'Bhuta. And then... oh, is the Imprisoned Rogue... it's... Imprisoned Rogue's gonna destroy block card, so there will be another card on the environment turn. Anyway, I don't want to hit the Primeval Limbs just in case she does restore their HP. Do I want to hit the other things first or afterwards? I honestly don't know. I'll just hit the Time-Praised Prisoner and let's see what happens. Akash'Bhuta plays Entomb. Alright, well that Grease Gun is coming in handy now. And now the order doesn't matter. If I destroy the Brambles, Tempest could deal damage on his next turn, but Akash'Bhuta wouldn't hit herself for 9. So is Tempest capable of doing more than 9 points of damage on his turn? I guess if he does like Lightning Slash and Localized Hurricane, he'd do 10. But let's just not worry about that. I don't really want a Frostbound Drain while Akash'Bhuta has damage reduction. So I think I'm gonna just put Thermal Shockwave for ongoing fodder. I mean, I could just use it. This will do 1 damage to Akash'Bhuta. This would do 2/2/2 to several targets. And then he deals himself 1, which outputs as 2, which is actually less than this. So I'll just hit Akash'Bhuta directly. And Horfire. I really wanted to Scorched Earth, but now it's getting pretty dangerous. And I especially don't want to keep Solar Flare out and make Ra the lowest HP, so the Bramble stops Ra from dealing damage. So I should just utilize Solar Flare to the best of my ability, outside of using Scorched Earth. So I think Fire Blast then. And I'm just gonna draw more cards. But I'm not gonna keep Solar Flare in play anymore. Blazing Tornado, Summon Staff, no. Alright, Inmate destroys block guard, Akash'Bhuta plays Earth Sacrifice. So this is almost gonna make the environment shuffle. But we are losing 5 cards. And I guess I don't need the Sub-Zero Atmosphere as much, but I know I don't need Thermal Shockwave. And, I mean, Flawless Execution has not been useful just yet. I guess it could theoretically be useful the next turn, but I don't think anything's going to be low enough. Tempest still won't be able to deal damage, but I could lose Localized Hurricane, because we do have plenty of cards now. But I could put out like Genebound Shackles and then Grievous Hailstorm on his turn. Or something. Living Conflagration, I guess, because that is not a necessary card. 2 more. Well, K.N.Y.F.E has not been dealt damage by the environment. Environment just wants to keep hitting Tempest. So I'm gonna lose that one. If I destroy battlefield experience, K.N.Y.F E could draw a card and play a card. So I'll play Overdo It. How about that? So we draw Overcharged Null Shield, which is already in play, but I can now overdo it. At the start of your turn, you may play a card. That's exciting. Now the environment plays Block Guard, which can't deal damage. And yeah. Living Rock Slide, which also can't deal damage. Okay. Now, the first time that we destroy a Primeval Limb, the environment deck will shuffle. And at that point, Akash'Bhuta will flip, and then we can destroy the environment targets more easily. Bear in mind, we still do not have a means of... Oh, I thought I was going to destroy Localized Hurricane, but then I didn't. Oops. We don't have a means of destroying Entomb, so... I said Tempest has enough cards, but he didn't draw his other ongoing destruction card. I think he only has 2 of them in his deck, though. He doesn't... Or he did get a Reclaim. I guess we could have done that at some point. You know what he could do is he could Reclaim on his turn, and then he could use Arc of Power to play the card that he just reclaimed. Which sounds terrible, but Tempest being dealt 4 lightning damage by the environment is better than Akash'Bhuta hitting all non-villain targets for 5. On the other hand, with Shielding Winds, it's actually... Actually, Tempest would still be dealt 4 damage this way. Because Tempest will be dealt 6 Psychic, but reduced by 2 to 4, versus the environment dealing 3, increased by 1 to 4. Shielding Winds only reduces damage whenever a hero target will be dealt 5 or more from a single source. Okay. So where are we? Yeah, I think we are gonna have to... If I just reclaim the Ball Lightning, and then I put the Entomb, or destroy the Entomb. Actually, with Ball Lightning, I could also destroy Localized Hurricane. Right, because Ball Lightning, what does it do? Deal 1 target 4 lightning damage, destroy up to 2 ongoing cards. And then after he plays the card, the environment deals Tempest 3 lightning. By the way, I couldn't have used this with Grease Gun out, because Grease Gun says non-hero cards cannot deal damage. The environment is not a non-hero card. The environment is just this, you know, it's everywhere. It's stronger than Grease Gun. Is it targets or card? Targets, okay. I guess it doesn't matter. But the environment is not a non-hero target, is what I was trying to say there. I could overdrive twice, or strike twice. I could play overdrive. If I'm going to do that, I might as well use charge instead, because that's a little better than strike. Okay. And we lost the thing. We lost Flawless Execution. I could put it into play, though. Primed Punch. 1-1. Incidental Contact. 2-all. If she plays Flawless Execution first, and then we do incidental contact, we could conceivably set it up so that she destroys 2 things with incidental contact. Not that that's necessary, because if she would destroy it with incidental contact, then Absolute Zero would destroy it with Cold Snap anyway. So I guess it's not super important. I guess the more important one is making sure that the Mountainous Carapace dies first. So with Imbued Fire and Grease Monkey Fist, that's 4 fire and 3 fire. So that's 7. I'm sorry if that was loud, by the way. I just made a noise, but that was probably right into the mic and sounded super loud. I'm so sorry. I was just, you know, doing a little lip thing. I get paralyzed a lot trying to optimize my card plays, min-max, whatever. If the Mountainous Carapace gets destroyed, Prime Punch deals more damage than Energy Lance. This deals 3 fire, this will do 2 and 2 fire. So, K.N.Y.F E would probably prefer Primed Punch over Flawless Execution, if we can arrange it. That being said, it's only 1 more point of damage. So, let's see. So if I can get the Mountainous Carapace down to 5 and Flawless Execution is in play, Incidental Contact would for sure kill it. And if I get something else down to 5, Incidental Contact would also for sure kill it. And I think we could still Scorched Earth, because there's 3 environment targets, or 3 environment cards, plus 2 is 5 all. So as long as the other things are at 7 or higher, Cold Snap plus Scorched Earth will kill them. Oh, on the other hand, Cold Snap's going to kill the 2 inmates, and then Scorched Earth is going to do 2 fewer points of damage. So that's going to do 3 fire. So with Cold Snap and Scorched Earth, we need to get them down to 5. Because we really don't want the Rock Slides to be in play. Oh man, if only Absolute Zero had Field Freeze, that would make things a little better. Well, okay, Incidental Contact is going to do 2 and 2, so only the Rock Slide at 10 is going to be at 5, higher than 5. Rock Slide at 10 will be at 6. The other 2 will be at 4, and they'll certainly be destroyed. All right, so that's not a big deal. What does Block Guard do again? It's non-agent with the lowest 3 lightning. I don't even know who that will be at this point. Yeah, I think it's charge. I forgot who I said to charge though. This is gonna do 4, put it down to 5, so yeah, it was him. Alright, so let's see. Brambles will be down to 3 after thing. Yeah, so I'm not worried about the Brambles at all, actually. If I just hit the Rock Slide once with someone. It doesn't really matter between Fixer or what's her face? K.N.Y.F E. Well, I guess, yeah, because Fixer's damage to Akash'Bhuta will be reduced. Toolbox. Alright, so Flawless Execution and then Incidental Contact. So order super matters. Hit the Mountainous Carapace first. Mountainous Carapace. And then I do want to deal it damage. And then Flawless Execution kills it. So I don't think this order matters. She hits herself, discards a card, which shuffles, and then that. Alright, now, you know, it doesn't matter if the inmates get destroyed, which they won't be, because I could just opt not to hit them, but now I could also hit Akash'Bhuta for more. So, just so I don't get super confused, I'm going to hit the villains last, because those are the ones that we for sure want to hit twice. But Fixer, we don't want to hit. K.N.Y.F, we don't want to hit. Tempest, we especially don't want to hit. Sorry, Tempest. 0. I mean, he might want to be hit twice. Yeah, let's say yeah. I mean, he's at a healthy HP number. This lets him hit Akash'Bhuta twice. But Ra doesn't want to be hit. And let's see. Well, this honestly doesn't matter. Cold Snap will destroy them, but I'll just leave them in play for now. The block guard, if I hit him, then he will die by Scorched Earth. If I don't hit him, he will survive. But it's possible he would hit a hero. Unless Akash'Bhuta plays a limb. She has 2 Primeval Eruptions. And let's see, 3 cards that do not play another card. Or no, Disrupt the Field would actually play another card. Play a top card of the villain deck, play a top card of the environment deck. If that card is a target, you know, stuff happens. But let's see, Entomb and Rejuvenating Entropy. 2 out of 8 chance that if the environment plays a target, that Akash'Bhuta doesn't play a target. And the block has Defensive Displacement and Lockdown. Those are 2 out of 11 chance that the block doesn't play a target. Let's just be safe. And the rest of these do want to be hit twice. Okay. Draw 2 cards, destroy this card, or deal damage. I mean, Overcharged Null Shield would provide an extra card play that Overdo It could benefit from. For the greater good. If she deals herself 3 Psychic, or 3 Fight, this card stays in play. Does she have cards to play? We have Primed Punch again. Overcharged Null Shield is currently in play. And for the greater good, if she takes damage this way, you may draw 1 card, play 1 card, and use 1 power now. Because if you're taking damage, you might as well take lots of damage. Yes, I will just keep overdoing it. Our HP is pretty healthy, considering that we are certainly pretty close to something happening. Alrighty, at this point, I think Vicious Cyclone. And then Genebound Shackles the next turn. Wait, no. Right, we're going to reclaim. Yeah, we're reclaiming. And this does benefit all the heroes. Each player may take a card from their trash and put it on top of their deck. You may draw a card. Alright. Does Fixer want these cards? No. Does K.N.Y.F.E want these cards? We could do another round of Incidental Contact next turn. Especially if she, you know, does for the greater good. We need Ball Lightning. And I mean, onboard module installation, I guess, right? Because that lets you draw a card and then do things as opposed to something else. So sure, why not? And then Ra. Probably Fire Blast. So we draw the Ball Lightning, so now I'm going to use this. So I'm going to play my Ongoing Destruction card. Oh, the damage happens before I even do things. Okay. Right. Because when things react to cards being played, they react when the card is like on the field as opposed to the text resolving. That's right. It's the powers that resolves after the fact. It's always confusing. Get rid of the Entomb. Get rid of Localized Hurricane. If I play another card, I'm dealt 3 damage. Is there a chance that I would die if I do this? Lowest is 3 lightning, can't deal damage anyway. Second lowest is 4. But then Tempest would almost certainly be the lowest at that point. And then... well, the Phalanges won't hit Tempest. Entomb would hit Tempest, but would be reduced by 2. But we did lose all of the Entombs, and we lost all of the, or no, they're all still in play, but they will be destroyed. I guess Genebound Shackles and then Lightning Slash on the next turn. But that's a little risky, though. What happens if Tempest is in-cap? What's his in-cap? One player may draw a card, destroy an ongoing card, put 1 card from the villain or environment trash into play. I don't know. I will risk it. Vicious Cyclone on Akash'Bhuta. And nothing else. Although I think if Tempest is tapped, he dies. But I don't know. Alrighty, inmates will be destroyed, but Akash'Bhuta's on her front side, so that's okay. Alright, a super risky play would be Horfire. Absolute Zero deals Akash'Bhuta 3 fire. Absolute Zero deals himself 3 fire, hits Akash'Bhuta for 4, deals himself 2 fire, hits Akash'Bhuta for 3, and then hits himself for 2, hits Akash'Bhuta for 3. That would do what? How much damage to her? 3, and then 4 is 7, and then 3 and 3, 6, 13 damage. At the expense of 3, 5, 7 damage to himself. The alternative is 4 damage and then 5 damage for less self-damage. But I'm feeling risky. Because Ra will be able to take those out himself, so he doesn't need to hit someone else. This is why Absolute Zero is such a good hero. He can do so much damage when he's set up. So much damage. Actually, no, wait. 10, 20, 30, 39. Akash'Bhuta is gonna hit herself for 39. She'll be down to 12. Dude. Very close. But now we do have to take them all out. And actually, Scorched Earth is going to do 3 fire to Akash'Bhuta versus Inferno does 5 fire to Akash'Bhuta. I might actually get it set up for block card to kill Akash'Bhuta if I do this right. So let's think. So this will do 5 fire to Akash'Bhuta. And then I can take out the other primeval limbs. I could hit Absolute Zero with the 5th hit. I don't have to hit the block guard. I could Absolute Zero hits Akash'Bhuta, and then I could throw the staff and possibly win. Poor Tempest. He did damage the first turn, and then he never did damage again. Oh man. See, I was just like staring at Akash'Bhuta's HP pool. I forgot that the primeval limbs will hurt Akash'Bhuta when they get destroyed. So if I had remembered that, I probably would have done better things. I don't know. I mean, I did do a lot of damage this turn. I probably wouldn't have like sat there for 2 minutes trying to decide if I wanted to put out the Vicious Cyclone or not. This choice doesn't even matter. I'll just do base power. I could throw the staff for a little more thematic victory, but oh well. That wasn't an awful game, unlike last week's. It was a long game, but Akash'Bhuta games are basically marathon games. Even though she does do a lot of self-damage, 200 HP is still a lot to get through. Especially if you have a team of heroes who aren't capable of AoE, which this team very much was. Unfortunately, Mr. Fixer never got, like, an excellent setup with, like, dual crowbars or jackhandle or harmony, and Tempest could never really deal damage outside of the first turn, which was pretty important. It stops future damage being dealt. But Raw with imbued fire early was super nice. Absolute Zero was a machine, and K.N.Y.F.E did a lot. And Absolute Zero, like, at least destroyed ongoing cards and stacked the villain deck a smidge, slightly altering the subsequent events. Certainly the game would have proceeded differently if we didn't put the Ensnaring Brambles back on top. Anyway, that's another mint. So, thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed this, and I'll be back next week. Good night.